I'd like to call to order the regular public meeting for the Scotch Plains Fanwood Board of Education, November 29th, 2016. Mrs. Saradaki, would you please call the roll?
Mrs. Brody? Here. Dr. Clancy? Here. Dr. Kulikowski? Here. Mr. Murray?
Here.
Mrs. Shermer?
Here.
Mrs. Williams?
Here.
Mrs. Bauer?
Here.
Quorum is present.
Thank you. Please join us in the salute to the flag. I pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all. So the board just met in executive session and discussed personnel, HIB, and special education. And we have had announcements placed with the Times. And welcome to our new representative from the Times who's here tonight. A notice was also given to the Township Clerk of Scotch Plains and to the Borough Clerk of Fanwood and to the Patch. And we have a number of additions to the agenda tonight. So I have 1S, which is out-of-district placements, 3S field trips. And then I have 1 BUS staff training, 4 BUS related services, and 15 BUS, which is related to interior doors. And then I see we also have board policies. Is there anything else under additions to the agenda? Okay. In accordance with Scotch Plains Fanwood Policy 0164 and 0165, we have an opportunity for members of the public to come to the microphone if anyone would like to speak. Okay, seeing no one at this time, I think we'll skip our committee reports. Most of the committees reported last week anyway. And move to our instructional update, if you would like to introduce that, Dr. Hayes.
Thank you. We are very thrilled tonight to have a representative group that are going to be reporting out to the board on a collaborative initiative that we've had with Kean University and the Plainfield Public Schools. More than a year ago, we all got together and we applied for the Building Teacher Leadership Capacity Grant from the New Jersey Department of Ed. And we were one of, I think, only 6 grants across the state that were awarded. And one of the things that's very unique about our grant is that it truly is a partnership, not only with the lead agency, which is Kean University, but also with the Plainfield Public Schools. And with that, I'm going to turn it over to Dr. Mast, because Dr. Mast gets a lot of credit for our being involved with this, because I sent her off to a meeting and she came back and then wrote and helped to author the grant and said, I think we can do this. She reached out to Dr. Slocum, who's here, and I don't want to steal any of their thunder, but I'll turn it over to you to introduce our guests, and then they have a presentation to share about the successes that we had in year 1 and where we're going in year 2 of this grant.
Okay, thank you, Dr. Hayes. I am going to echo your sentiment of not stealing anyone's thunder. It has been a very exciting partnership, and I was thinking, what about it is to our greatest benefit? And it really has just given additional opportunity for our teachers to have leadership roles. And we know that when we see teachers working with teachers and sharing their expertise, it just really gives the district wonderful support. So with that being said, I'm going to turn it over to Dr. Slocum, who will begin the presentation. And we will be using the slide.
Okay.
Oops, sorry. She's
Thank you so much. I want to start by thanking the Board of Education for having us out tonight. It is absolutely a delight to be able to provide an overview of the Building Teacher Leadership Capacity Grant that Scotch Plains Panwood has been a part of with Plainfield Public Schools and with Kean University. We really are fortunate to be a part of it. So the state of New Jersey, where this grant came from, the state of New Jersey used Title II funding through the No Child Left Behind Act to try to address the challenge of student achievement. And they really came about it from an interesting approach. They believe that leveraging the power of school district university partnerships to improve support for beginning teachers would help retain teachers in order to do that, they were encouraging training teacher leaders to be mentors for those beginning teachers. And through doing that, it was expected that the participating districts would improve student outcomes by building their capacity to improve beginning teacher practices, teacher retention, and school culture. So that's the philosophy and the purpose behind the New Jersey's creation of the grant to begin with. And as Dr. Hayes said, Dr. Mast was very interested in this opportunity as well. So why did New Jersey shape the grant this way? Well, to structure it, to think of a partnership between universities and districts. Well, the initial years of teaching are a critical developmental period for new teachers, and initial experiences impact their decisions to stay in districts or to leave. So their interest is really in teacher retention and getting them excited about teaching. Also, this type of grant aligns with other federal and state initiatives to strengthen teacher preparation, to improve teacher effectiveness, and to enhance the equity in the distribution of effective teachers across the state. So in some places, New Jersey has less than a 50% retention rate of new teachers. So that was another inspiration for this type of approach to the grant. And finally, another reason for structuring it this way was the opportunity to develop models to inform state policy and district practices. So this is where we really hit the mark, and I'm very excited to present this tonight because I do think that our model is one for the state to take a look at. So Dr. Hayes and Dr. Mast mentioned this a little bit, but in April of 2015, Dr. Mast forwarded this grant opportunity because she remembered that, well, first of all, she had lots of ideas about how we could do it, but she remembered that Plainfield and Scotch Plains had collaborated before in professional learning communities and really had done it for the enjoyment of getting to know about one another's challenges, about learning best teaching practices from one another. And they had done it somewhat formally in the sense that they used our PLC time during staff meetings, but it was also informal because they gave some of their own time as well. However, it did not continue after that, and Dr. Mast saw a potential for that. That really excited me because I love working with my colleagues in Plainfield from a former position that I had, and I reached out to two principals, including Principal Dion Roach, who's here this evening, principal of Clinton Elementary School in Plainfield, and they both loved the idea of connecting our teachers again and on focusing on professional development for our teacher leaders, particularly in the components of the Danielson rubric, which is what we both use in both districts. It guides our professional development goals in some ways, and we could build on our teachers' strengths by having them work together in the two districts. Well, Dr. Mast, and I know there was a representative from Plainfield too that had a connection with Dr. Pittman, who is the dean of the graduate school at Kean for education, and they connected with Kean. So Kean, we had the two perspectives of the two districts that were very interested in instruction for mentor teachers. Kean came aboard and not only welcomed that approach, but they also had the keen understanding of training of teachers and what would inspire, what would help new teachers. So they wanted to incorporate cognitive behavioral therapy approaches as a part of the grant to focus on pre-service and in-service retention, and also to provide a structure for our professional learning communities. So they were thinking about providing a PLC course led by Dr. Tammy Jenkins at Kean, where the teacher leaders would establish norms and learn how to run effective PLCs, but they would select the topics that they would study themselves. So this group, composed of the three different parts, met through the spring of 2015. That Kane put in charge of communication, Marie Toto, Miss Marie Toto, who's here this evening as well, and I can't even tell you how excited I am by all the people that came tonight as soon as I mentioned it in an email, because they're enthusiastic about this grant as well. So the great news is we received the Year 1 grant in July of 2015 for elementary teachers, and we began planning in the fall of 2015. Our Year 1 goals were some of the things that I've mentioned. One was that our teacher leaders would participate in a course leading professional learning communities led by Dr. Jenkins. Two, that there would also be independent teacher-led PLCs. So not only would they be trained in how to run them effectively, but the teachers would run them themselves without any supervision, so that they would be focusing the area of focus within their PLCs. Third, there would be a cognitive behavioral therapy strategies course taught by Dr. Amy Wenzel, and that was set up by Dr. Verdi, who's also here tonight from Kane University. And that has been, we will have people talk about it, but that has been an incredible part of the grant. The idea being that if teacher leaders develop cognitive therapy strategies to help their own stresses and needs within their classrooms, and when they're mentoring new teachers, they're going to be able to provide those tools to new teachers and also to students. So that was the theory behind incorporating cognitive behavioral therapy strategies. Then fourth, we also expected for a goal that the teacher leaders would create a professional development workshop as a result of their professional learning communities that could be turnkey, so that this would be, the idea of the grant is building teacher leader capacity, so that would expand our capacity beyond the teachers participating in this grant to teachers that they would either teach or that their modules or workshops would be able to be presented for. And they would present these professional development workshops at a summer workshop as part of the grant. Our expectations in fulfilling these goals were that we would train an equal number of mentor teachers from both districts, so we have 8 from each district in the elementary schools, that the procedures across the 2 districts would be equitable, that our teachers would observe one another across the districts, that the PLC course, as I mentioned before, would be the planning ground for the professional development workshop modules, and that a partner council would be created, composed of the 3 parts, that would receive training also in the professional learning communities, the cognitive behavioral therapy, and work with an evaluator to evaluate the program as it was being implemented, because we were both creating and implementing it and evaluating it in a cyclical way throughout the whole year. And the partner council would meet periodically to update the evaluator and to plan next steps. So, and then finally, the expectation was, this is directly from the state, that there would be external evaluation with both qualitative and quantitative data. So there's a picture of most of our first cohort at Plainfield High School, where we met for cognitive behavioral therapy training. And our elementary teachers, we had 8 from Jefferson and Clinton schools in Plainfield. So as I mentioned, the principal of Clinton School is here. And we had 8 teachers from Terrell, Evergreen, Cole, School 1, and McGinn in Scotch Plains. Our Partners Council consists of as I mentioned, Dr. Pittman from the Dean of the College of Education, who's the Dean of the College of Education, Dr. Gail Verdi, who's here, Dr. Tammy Jenkins, Dr. Amy Wenzel, Dr. Martha Mobley, whose focus is pre-service teachers, and Ms. Marie Toto, who's here as well. And then can't see the whole bottom there, but in Plainfield and Scotch Plains Fanwood, both superintendents, assistant superintendents, HR personnel, principals, supervisors, and teachers are all part of the Partners Council. So it's a comprehensive group. What did we achieve? Well, we achieved all of our Year 1 goals, which is very exciting. In addition, we had multiple observations of teachers to teachers across the districts, both through the PLC course and in planning the modules, the professional development modules. We got great data from the external evaluator, despite the fact that it's only been 1 year so far. We had presentations from staff from both districts in multiple classrooms across both settings. That really manifested itself in the presentations that came in the summertime. Our teacher leaders also became mentor teachers. Now, Our teacher leaders were selected because of their expertise and their excellence as teachers already. They had a minimum requirement, a high requirement on the Danielson rubric in terms of evaluation scores. So many of our teacher leaders had been mentors, and they came with many skills. And what you're going to hear about tonight is that despite the breadth of knowledge that they came with, they still gained a lot from working together in this grant. We also achieved funding for year 2, which is wonderful. This is the plan for the goal for the grant overall is that it's potentially a 3-year grant, which you can earn funding for each year, but we are guaranteed it based upon political factors as well as our application process. So we were thrilled to receive the funding for year 2, and we are now focused on middle school professional development for this year. To talk a little bit about the professional development modules, our first year cohort were expected to establish a 3-hour professional development module to be taught to their colleagues, which happened, they came. They were supposed to focus on a particular audience. We have since found that their modules are so expansive and useful that that's not really a relevant criterion anymore, because they can be shared with really any educational audience. The teachers had the choice to work independently to create these modules or in their professional learning communities. They chose the professional learning communities, and that's what we're going to expect. Well, we will still be giving the choice for the second year. And they created these 3 large modules. One is a co-teaching strategies module. We have 3 representatives here tonight who are going to be sharing a little bit about their co-teaching strategies module, which has had a lot of legs this year. We had a cognitive behavioral therapy automatic thoughts module done by one of the PLCs, and we also had a phonemic awareness module created in one of the PLCs. The last one was extremely relevant to our new dyslexia law, which requires training. So we now have more information that we can use to satisfy the requirement for the state for phonemic awareness. But at this time, I would like you to hear from Ms. Dorothy Lusk, Ms. Nan Marchica, and Ms. Connie Tucci on their co-teaching strategies module.
Thank you, Dr. Slocum. For the PLC component of our Building Teacher Leadership Capacity Grant, the 16 participants got to choose areas of interest that would benefit us the most in our teaching practice. 3 areas were identified, as you can see, Dr. Slocum shared with you, and the PLCs were formed. And as a result of the PLC process, since all of us here were working with the co-teacher, the 3 of us, Amanda, Connie, and I, we were focusing on the co-teaching classroom environment in order to improve the delivery of instruction in our respective classrooms. Originally, this interest grew from a workshop that Amanda Marchica and I attended in the summer of 2015 at the first Summer Academy. So this was really something we felt very strongly about. The PLC provided us with the structure to research best practices and apply these in our own classroom. We began exploring and implementing various co-teaching models, and subsequently, our practices changed for the better. Our students, which are of varied academic abilities, they range from low and challenged students with difficult times in learning to students who are more easily taught and readily available for learning. And they have a variety of social and emotional needs as well. And all of our students benefited from their increased intellectual engagement and the accountability for their own learning. Additionally, one benefit that occurred from our partnership with our Plainfield colleagues was the opportunity to observe in each other's classroom. And the collaboration and discussion that ensued furthered our understanding of the co-teaching models and actually the benefits of each and every model. Together, we developed the first edition of our co-teaching strategies in inclusion classrooms, which is a module that was presented this past July to our fellow grant recipients, the Kane faculty, district leaders from Scotch Plains, Candlewood, Plainfield, as well as the Warwick leaders. Consequently, Noelle Baxter, one of our district supervisors, gave us the opportunity to present a more developed second edition of our module.
Dorothy, Connie, and I worked together to adapt the original module to coincide with our district needs, specifically that special education students are placed in a restrictive environment, in many cases this being the inclusion classroom. The second edition was presented to district co-teachers and administrators in July of 2016. Thanks to Justin Fiore, principal of School 1, two immediate results of this presentation were the use of dual FM systems in co-taught classes, as well as giving general education teachers access to students' IEP documents on IEP Direct. Those are two results that we are very proud of as a result of our work. Later in September of 2016, a third edition of the module was presented to the McGinn School faculty, which focused on the strategies that can be used by general education and special education teachers, as well as basic skills teachers, specialists, and additional classroom support staff. Earlier this month, the module was turnkey to meet the growing needs of co-teachers in the middle schools and high schools in Scotch Plains family. Our presentation was disseminated to 4 co-teaching partnerships who then presented the 4th edition module at our November Professional Development Day to roughly 50 and 60 teachers. So it's important for us to outline this very lengthy timeline for you to illustrate the power of teacher-driven PLCs and teacher-led professional development. In less than 1 year, that's 1 year, our work has greatly impacted the inclusive classroom environments that our Scotch Plains family students learn with them today. Moving forward, Dr. Galverdi has shared with us that Kane University student teachers will greatly benefit from this as well, as they begin their fieldwork and observations in co-taught classrooms. We are truly grateful, truly grateful, that the Building Teacher Leader Grant stakeholders in Scotch Plains, Fanwood, Plainfield, and Kane have provided us this opportunity to grow and deepen our practice and enhance our mentoring skills for novice teachers and even skilled practitioners. We look forward to the continuation of the second year Building Teacher Leader Grant, which includes middle school teachers. This experience has inspired us to seek out more opportunities for future collaboration with endless possibilities in order to reach as many colleagues as possible, thus having the greatest impact on all of our students.
Wow, and I hope you get to see their module at some point too. I'm sure they will be doing it many times, so I hope you get to see that because it really is a beautiful thing. So this is version 1.0, I think, the picture that's up here. I didn't realize they were up to 5.0, but I knew they had done it several times. So this is an example of a proliferation of the first year grant. So technically, the first year grant ended with our presentations at the beginning of July, but in reality, the pieces that have continued to expand from it are continuing still from cohort 1, even though cohort 2 is starting. So this is an example of Amanda's in there, but this Connie and Dorothy also presented this workshop over the summer in July to teachers who volunteered their time in the summer to come in and learn about the teaching strategies, and it was widely heralded by everybody who attended. They loved the strategies that they got from it. Other residual benefits of the year 1 cohort, as that was an example of the PD module being used in the SPF PD Academy in the summer of 2016. Teacher leaders have also presented, so whether or not it was their module, our teacher leaders have presented to our new teacher orientation and roundtables, which are wonderful institutions that our district has supported over the years, but they keep getting richer with the enhanced capacity of our teacher leaders, and focused on Danielson framework components. Our modules have been used, as Ms. Marchica mentioned, in professional development selections in September, October, and November of this year already. Participating teachers have presented to faculty meetings and to the Board of Ed. Most of our teacher leaders from this grant are mentor teachers this year. They put their practices into practice right away. The exceptions are those who are out on maternity leave. So it really is almost everybody. And they've worked with PD across the district. And Noelle Baxter, who's a supervisor that's very actively involved in this grant, who couldn't be here tonight, wanted to stress the informal mentoring that has increased as a result of this grant as well. So it's very true. As an administrator, I know the depth of the capacity that our teacher leaders in my building have and throughout the district. And when new teachers and experienced teachers have questions, I do send them to these wonderful teachers that are here. So, and also, I think it was Connie who mentioned that our partnership with Kean University just is blossoming in such a beautiful way. So Dr. Verity reached out to me and to Kalea Pelham, who's another principal involved in the grant in Plainfield at Jefferson School, and her sophomore students are 6 of them, and then 7 of them, their 2 cohorts also, are spending time observing our teacher leaders and in both schools, and then they've swapped. So we each have 2, we're on the 2nd round of the teachers swapping. And this is my 7th year as principal at McGinn. I have had many students come in and out and visit the classrooms for different reasons, even student teaching. But I have a new commitment to helping these teachers. And it's a different experience when you have a connection with the university professor of the students. You know what the students are learning and what the professor is expecting for them. So it's been an incredible experience. Plainfield and SPF administrators consult on teacher candidates. We know what we expect from our teachers now in both districts, and we can help one another that way. And the mentor learning, as our teachers explain, has impacted their own classroom. So very personally, the learning that they've had is impacting kids immediately in their classrooms. So here are some pictures of cohort 2. Our cohort 1 met with cohort 2 in October this year. This is again at Plainfield High School for cognitive behavioral therapy training. And our teachers our cohort 1 teachers sat at tables with cohort 2 teachers to share a little bit about their experiences before they started their CBT. So we're trying to have a nice cohesion between them. These are the teachers from Scotch Plains family from cohort 2. And we have the honor of having Ms. Peggy Brown here this evening, who's one of our and I'm very excited about being part of cohort 2. Tomorrow is our 2nd workshop right here in this board office. So I just want to let you know that I can do my homework and I'm prepared for tomorrow. I'm just really excited because I've heard so much from the cohort 1 teachers about how much learning has gone on and how this mentoring program is really helping new teachers to really kind of feel the confidence to be able to continue on with teaching. And we really want to retain our special teachers. We spend a lot of time researching and recruiting them, and we want them to stay and we want them to be successful. So I'm actually, along with Dorothy Lusk, the mentor coordinator. So I actually train first-time mentors. And we're excited because it's kind of like teachers leading teachers and helping teachers. And so I do know a lot of things that I can help with mentoring. I know that I can help with lesson plans, and I know that I can help with physical space and all of the components that are involved in Danielson. But I really don't know how to help the teacher when she's crying or when she's just really stressed out. And I don't know how to help her with that social kind of emotional component. So I think the CBT training is going to be really helpful for me to just kind of think about my way of thinking things through and solving problems. And then maybe I can learn some strategies that will help them to get over those rough patches that they definitely will come across in first years of teaching. So thanks for letting me say something tonight. So our goals for year 2, and there's Peggy in this picture too, she was at the first training. Our goals for year 2 include starting earlier, which we have done, which was wonderful, having noticed that we received the funding and we were able to start a lot earlier, and also having a program to follow that we created from the first year. We were able to do that, to start a lot earlier. So we also have the same year 1 goals for our middle school teachers, the same things that we talked about, the CBT, the PLCs, the PLC course, and creating the professional development modules. We also want to keep a connection between our year 1 teacher leaders and our year 2 teacher leaders, because it's about building capacity. They have amazing ideas across the grade levels, and we hope to keep it going through high school as well. ultimately one day. We also wanted to put a little more emphasis on presenting to pre-service and new teachers. So we're going to be talking with amongst ourselves about how we can do that, how we can expand that possibility. As I started, New Jersey and the country's overall goal with this grant is to increase outcomes for students by training mentor teachers. The measurement is ongoing. That's very hard to measure after a year and a half, but we definitely have received some very positive indicators from our external evaluator already. She reported that teacher leaders feel equipped to address socio-emotional concerns in their own classrooms with strategies that will work for the students themselves. So immediate practices they can put to work. Teacher leaders feel that they can work together to be change agents for excellent instruction. That is so powerful, that the feedback that we've received, that they can teach PLCs, they also can use them to make change as they have with their professional development modules in their districts. Also, teacher leaders want to and feel capable of being mentors to new teachers in addressing the stressors that accompany the position, which Peggy's excited to learn about. So, and our focus on Danielson components will continue. At this time, before I thank everybody, I'd like to welcome anybody who. So we had so many people say that they wanted to come tonight, and I did not want anyone to feel that they had to come out on a Tuesday night. But I know that they came because they really believe in the grant as well. It truly is a partnership. So, Principal Rose, would you like to share your thinking? Come on up. Not at all.
Hello, everybody. So, before Sasha thanks everybody, I was going to thank you. I was very impressed by the commitment by everyone who showed up. So, I have a list. Just for 3 of us. So, Dr. Verdi, Marie Toto, Dr. Pittman. I especially want to thank Scotch Board, Family Board of Education for letting Dr. Hayes and Dr. Mass show us the way that they came to every meeting, very positive, always full of energy. And I thank them profusely from the bottom of my heart. And I said, how can you have a full day and come out here and still be smiling at things? And they did. So that's the model that I'm inspired to do. But like Dr. Stokely said, what I have established now is I have 4 teacher leaders who've grown branches, and now they have 8 more teacher leaders from Scotch Plains family and 4 from my sister Steve Jefferson. So I'm beyond report. I am very enthusiastic, very happy, and I'm so impressed that we've actually got this grant and won this grant. I think year 2 will be a no-brainer. They got to get back. So thank you.
No, you have to come up.
Hi, I'm Gail Verdi. I am the faculty member at Kane. I've been working with Dr. Slocum, Marie Toto, and Dion, and all the wonderful faculty from Jefferson and McGinn this year. I'd like to just say one thing that I noticed that's different this year than when I've been taking my sophomores out into the field for about 10 years now, and I now have a relationship with the teachers at both of these schools. And I can say that there is a significant connection that I've made with the classrooms at the schools, with the faculty at the schools, and I think that's really made a difference for my students. That my students are really feeling a connection with the teachers that they're working with, the principals at the schools, and I can really feel it and see it in the work that they're producing for my class, which is even more important. So the impact is really spreading. So I hope that this helps. Thank you very much.
Thank you. Come on down. So Marie has coordinated all of us throughout the whole process. So
My pleasure to be here. Well, first of all, I just want to say this. There are 6 universities, Cambridge being one of them, that got the money for this grant. And I have to say that Sasha gave you the information as to what the criteria was and what we're supposed to be trying to accomplish. I am so proud of our grant that we have when I go down to the Department of Education to present, because we are really moving so far, so fast. Everybody is so impressed with what we're doing. we took such a different approach to this particular grant. No one of these 6 universities has done it. And because of that, we're very unique. And when I first got on board with this, cognitive behavior was something I wasn't really too familiar with, and I've been doing a lot more research. And I have to say, we're on the cutting edge. The more I open up a magazine now, the more I go on the internet, different states are doing this. They are researching to see the impact that it has on their students. And they're seeing a lot of good information happening, a lot of good strategies being used, and they're seeing the results in their students. So I really feel proud, and I have to say that's the only reason I wanted to be here tonight, because the teachers have put in 100%, both school districts. And now I'm in the classrooms with the Cohort 1 visiting. I'll be visiting with them about 4 times throughout the year. I made my first visit, and I really was so impressed with what they're doing, the workshops that they're doing, the mentoring that they're doing, the PLCs. So I really think you need to be very proud of your teachers in this district and beyond as well in your district, because they're doing an excellent job with this grant. And I thank you, and I'm really happy to be working with them.
Just a final thank you. This, as you can see, this grant has inspired 3 educational organizations and their members to follow our beliefs and our interests regarding providing the best learning environments for students. It's very meaningful work, and it's a viable collaboration for addressing educational challenges, and we really believe in it. So thank you so much for your support.
Yeah, this one. The focus is going on for now. Whoop. It's that corner area here.
You all sat in the back. So want to thank you for that report and open this up to the board for comment and questions. Does anybody have any comments or questions for the group?
I have
Dr.
comment.
Clancy?
Your enthusiasm is wonderful. I'm glad it's such a terrific experience, and that will definitely have an impact on the children. I was curious about if you could give me an example of what a co-teaching would look like, what a co-teaching experience is.
So, Amanda and I, at Bloomington School, we work with our co-teacher in such a manner that something that we call a favorite model called parallel teaching. And what parallel teaching consists of is that we take our class of about 20 children and break it down into 2 groups. And each group is balanced. They're an equal mixture of high learners and more challenged learners. And then what we do is we'll take a subject like reading, and instead of reading the text in the entire class, Amanda would read one book, and I would read another book, and we would kind of have our bodies facing each other, but the children's backs would be to each other, so that we're interacting with our 10 children, and she's interacting with her 10 children, and then we'll pause, and we'll kind of have a plan at certain parts to talk to each other about what we're reading, or bring up with what our children in the group are saying, so that in this way, the children feel, actually, I think they feel better about sharing because the group is smaller. We have a better feel for what the group can do, and our planned interactions really help the learning move forward.
Just talk into the microphone so they can.
Pull it
down. You can pull it down. There you go.
So part of our of the work that we did in creating our module is outlining 6 co-teaching strategies, parallel teaching being one of them that can be used in a class where there are special education and general education students. And so parallel teaching is one of the models that we use frequently in our co-taught classrooms. There are others too, which we outline and explore in our work, and we've also as part of our workshop, we have embedded in their time for the teachers participating in the workshop to kind of see where they would, where they could best use each one of the models in terms of areas of the curriculum and units of study and things like that. So it's important that all of the models are being used effectively. But like we said, parallel teaching being one of them. We explore something called station teaching. We talk about alternative teaching. These are all different models that can be used. And so it's important for us as educators to think about where we can best see those models fitting into our curriculum and how we instruct our general ed and special ed students in class.
And what we love about it most, and I think this goes for the entire co-teaching picture, a lot of times people may think that if you have two teachers, that they each can kind of do 50% of the work and it makes your job a little lighter. But in fact, for co-teaching to be most successful, both teachers are putting in 100% of the work, and the children in the class are getting 200% benefit. And that's kind of what we envision as what we see as the impact of co-teaching, and that's what we impact in our sessions and class planning.
I have a question. How does that work though when you have your back-to-back and the children aren't distracted from, I mean, how do you cut that wall?
It can be a process in certain groups of students, but as Dorothy explained, when we're using the parallel teaching model, the teachers are facing each other and the students' backs are actually
Right,
to
I
each
got
other,
that, but they don't,
right?
the other kids aren't turning around looking and listening.
Sometimes, but
The focus, you know.
with a smaller number of students that you're working with, we have, just by reducing the number of students in and of itself, the students are more engaged, they're more likely to participate, like Dorothy said, they feel more comfortable within a smaller group as opposed to in front of the whole class. So it makes it, it makes more intimate and definitely increases their engagement.
And I think what's happening now in our classrooms is the children kind of see this as a norm. They expect to be in two groups, and I think that as you become more accustomed to that, it tends to run more smoothly.
Are there other comments or questions?
I have a question.
Yes.
Are any of these strategies implemented at the high school level, or is it just elementary and middle school?
Sure. As a matter of fact, that is what Annie was talking about when she explained about how our presentation is presented in November.
So at our November professional development, Dorothy Cunning and I presented something called Train the Trainers. So we turnkeyed our presentation to it was roughly 8 teachers who then turnkeyed the presentation to a larger group of people. So we have like a ripple effect going on here, and like I said, we're really proud of this because they were able to adapt our work as mostly elementary school teachers. They were able to adapt the presentation and present it in a meaningful way for middle school and high school teachers as well, so that they were using the strategy.
And I know too many people in this had those things like if you supervisor contact us, and really only part because now, if I'm saying this correctly, in the middle school, the science and the social studies sometimes is being taught as well.
Correct, sometimes.
And that there's more teachers that will be using these models, so she had wanted more teachers trained, and that was kind of like a result of training more.
And just another aspect of our module, if I may, is we focus a lot of time in our presentation on the relationship between co-teachers and how important that is in to build a positive relationship with the people that you're working with, so that you can best instruct your students. So a lot of our presentations focuses on how to build effective co-teaching partnership, which is we feel is as well.
Are there other questions or comments from anyone? I want to thank the wonderful turnout. I agree with Dr. Slocum. It's evident from not only the teachers here from Scotch Plains, but also the representatives from Kane and from Plainfield, that you all do feel very much a part of a partnership. We were very excited when we heard about the grant and having it And it's wonderful to hear now the results, at least of the first year. We're very proud of the work that certainly our staff are doing and proud of the collaboration. I think the work between school districts and partnering with universities is probably where the heart of education really is these days, in those partnerships. So certainly we're all very appreciative and supportive, and I know Dr. Hayes wants to say a few words as well.
First, Dr. Mass, do you have any comments that you want to add?
I think just that the presentation truly does speak for itself. It is an example of the Collins book of getting the right people on the bus, and Dr. Slocum's leadership and Noel Baxter's leadership and enthusiasm, bringing the teachers together and giving the right amount of support, is truly just such a professional high for me. So I would like to thank them for that, and certainly thank the board for the support in applying for the grant.
I couldn't be happier. When I went to the first meetings and we were struggling with how to shape the grant, I remember having the same kinds of questions. I think, Gail, you said, you know, how was the CBT exactly going to work? And how are we going to intertwine it with the PLCs? But to see a year later, not only how well it has all taken root, but as you said, the ripple effects that are going out and how many ways it's impacted our district. So the train-the-trainer model is alive and robust. We're now into the middle school. High school teachers have benefited from it. And the whole focus on teachers being able to assist one another and lead each other in that process, and how well that then impacts their students. Because in turn, you're training your students to be leaders and to help one another. And the whole piece about self-reflection and making ourselves healthier and having greater resilience and persistence, some people call it grit, is extraordinarily important in this day and age, because we know that there are many factors that can take kids off course. And teachers get frustrated when they work so hard and they're not able to reach each and every child. But helping give the teachers the tools to be able to do that better says it all. And your enthusiastic presentation tonight, I just am eternally grateful to each and every one of you. Thank you for coming out, and we'll be seeing all of you tomorrow morning. Because they'll all be back here to present again.
Thank you so much, everyone. You don't have to stay for a whole business meeting.
That's right. Thank you.
Okay, are there any new committee reports? I don't think there are. Okay, so we'll move on. No letters to the board, and that brings us to the superintendent's report, Dr. Hayes.
Okay. One ask tonight, I would ask that the Board of Education approve the out-of-district placements that are on the original agenda, as well as the two that are on the addition to the agenda.
So moved.
Second.
All those in favor?
Aye.
Opposed?
2S, I would ask that the board affirm the superintendent's decisions in the 5 October harassment, intimidation, and bullying cases that were reported in executive session on October 13th and October 20th, 2016.
So
Second.
All those in favor?
Aye.
Opposed?
3S tonight, I would ask that the board approve the additional field trip request. This is for Terrell Middle School students in the 7th and 8th grade jazz band program to visit Prudential Center on February 14th, 2017.
So moved. Second.
Any comments or questions? All those in favor?
Aye.
Opposed?
And I would ask that the board approve the personnel agenda as discussed in exec this evening.
So moved.
Second.
Okay, Mrs. Saradaki, will you please call the roll?
Dr. Kulikowski?
Yes.
Mr. Murray?
Yes.
Mrs. Brody?
Yes.
Dr. Clancy?
Yes.
Mrs. Shermer?
Yes.
Mrs. Williams?
Yes.
Mrs. Bauer?
Yes.
And that concludes my report.
Okay, thank you very much. So in accordance with policy 0164 and 0165, if anyone would like to come to the microphone, this is the opportunity. Seeing no one, we're going to move on to the business functions. Mrs. Saradaki.
One BUS, I can group these.
Okay,
That's
and I know
okay
we
with the board?
approved some last week.
Yes. One BUS is the approval of staff training, including the items on the addition to the agenda. And that's on the report dated November 29th, 2016. Two BUS, I'd like the board to acknowledge the receipt of the disbursement listings dated for the month of October 2016. 3 BUS, I'd like the board to acknowledge the receipt of the district school security and fire drill reports for the month of October 2016. 4 BUS, I'd like the board to approve additional vendor-related services for special education on the agenda, as well as those on the additions to the agenda. That's for Spectrum Consulting and for First Children. 5 BUS was approved at the November 17th meeting. 6 BUS, I'm asking for the board's approval for Potter Architects to prepare the plans and specifications related to the roofing projects that we would like to do in the summer 2017. The cost would be $169,830. This includes submitting plans to the DOE, modifying the long-range facility plan, providing construction oversight, and all other services in their proposal. 7 BUS, I'm asking the board to approve entering into a facility use agreement with Behavior Therapy Associates for running the High Step Summer Program at Coles Elementary School during the summer 2017. 8 BUS, I'm asking for the board to approve a maintenance support contract renewal with Stewart Business Systems to manage district printers, includes unlimited toner, all parts, service, labor, and software at a cost of $2,125.20 per month for 1 year through October 31st, 2017. 9 BUS was approved November 17th. 10 BUS is acknowledgement of receipt of the information regarding the fall-winter school bus evacuation drills held between September and November for all district routes and students. Signed documentation of each drill is on file in the transportation office. 11 BUS, I'm asking for the board to acknowledge receipt of the board secretary report, treasurer of school funds report, and budget adjustments for the month of October 2016. 12 BUS, I'm asking for the board to approve the bills for the period of October 15th, 2016 through November 22nd, 2016 in the amount of $5,197,058.56. 13 BUS and 14 BUS were both approved at the November 17th meeting. And 15 BUS, I'm asking for the board to approve a change. We had awarded the bid for additional interior door replacements at Coles School 1, Terrell Middle, Park Middle, and the high school in the amount of $281,000 on June 29th. There's an additional pair of doors at Terrell that should be replaced for security reasons, and these are interior doors also. And the price has been quoted from the same contractor at a cost of $9,100 to furnish and install. And if approved, this cost would be taken from the 2015-16 excess extraordinary aid.
Okay. Is there a motion?
So moved.
Second.
Comments, questions for Mrs. Saradaki about any of the items? I know we discussed these last week, but something came up.
Just for the board's information, the pair of doors that we've added, the doors aren't being replaced for functionality. They're glass doors, and you can see into the building and into the room. The these are the doors that are used to lock down, and because they're completely glass, you can see from outside the building into the building when the doors are closed, and you can see the students in the room, so. They'll be replaced with solid doors with a pane, the way other doors are.
Okay. Seeing no questions, all those in favor?
Aye.
Opposed? Okay, so that brings us to board policies. Mr. Murray?
Sure. So we had first reading last week, so move that the Board of Education approve first reading November 29th for the adoption of the following board policies. Policy 1220, employment of chief school administrator. Policy 1310, employment of school business administrator. Policy 3111, creating positions. Policy 3125, employment of teaching staff members. Policy 3125.2, employment of substitute teachers. Policy 3126, district mentoring program. Policy 3141, resignation. Policy and regulation 3240, professional development for teachers and school leaders. Policy and regulation 3244, in-service training abolishment. That. And in addition, bylaw 0152 of board officers and policy 2415.30, Title I, educational stability for children in foster care.
Okay. Any comments or questions? Is there a second?
Second.
Okay, all those in favor?
Aye.
Opposed? That brings us to new board business. Seeing no one, other board business requests to attend workshops. Workshop reports. Dr. Kulikowski.
Well, last Monday, several of us went to the Union County School Board Association presentation on special education by Dr. Gerard Crisanino and Nathania Simon, and it was excellent. I'm glad we all had the opportunity to be there to hear them. Lovely dinner that was included with the presentation, but the information was very clear, very concise, nice handout, and we were allowed to ask questions, which they answered, I thought, very well. So it was nice to be there. Also, it was very good. Yeah.
And it was excellent, and it was interesting to hear questions from other districts as well. So I think we're fortunate in the representation and program that we have in special education, and I know we all learned a lot. So thank you for that. Anyone else? Yes? Oh, okay.
I attended the MAC meeting the week before, and the members of the committee were finalizing the planting of the purple tulip bulbs on all the campuses in Scotch Plains, as well as the Y and other organizations that are participating in town. And then they were also finalizing the plans for the springtime when we have Think Purple Week, about the presentations that will be offered at the high school level and the other plans for the other schools. So it's coming along.
Thank you. Anyone else? Workshop reports. Okay, then that brings us to the approval of the minutes for October 13th and October 20th. Thank you. All those in favor?
Aye.
Opposed?
I
I
abstained.
forgot to ask if there were any abstentions.
13th.
Anyone else? Okay. This is the final opportunity for the public, if anyone would like to come to the microphone. Seeing no one, anything for the good of the order?
Dr. Mast and I had the great opportunity last Friday, I think it was, to attend Terrell Middle School's presentation of Alice in Wonderland, right? Yep, a week ago, but since the last board meeting, at any rate, not on Thanksgiving Eve. But they did a great job, and we look forward to the high school presentation coming up next weekend on You Can't Take It With You, right? Yeah, so our drama programs continue to expand, and the students are doing a great job.
And I would just like to point out, we have new artwork, really great artwork in the boardroom. So if anyone wants to come to a board meeting, you also benefit from seeing the artwork.
exhibit.
Um,
I also went to the athletic booster trippy tray, which was a great turnout, and the committee did a wonderful job of organizing. So it was nice night to be there.
Great.
Yeah, and hopefully they made money. Yeah, that's always good.
Okay, we have a number of meetings coming up in December on the 15th and the 22nd, and then we'll have our reorganization meeting January 5th. But before that, there'll be a lot of holiday concerts, so everyone can check the website for all of those that are coming up this month, and we'll see everyone on the 15th. Can I have a motion to adjourn?
So move.
Second.
All those in favor?
Aye.
Adjourn. Have a good evening, everyone.